Chanel and Johnny wander through the square, happy that his mom is visiting. But then Felicity rushes over with the news that her sister's missing. Chanel asks what she means, which, is kind of self-explanatory. She agrees that, yes, Cat is missing, so Chanel sends Johnny off to his mom, while she takes Felicity to the police station. Julie, meanwhile, comes downstairs and greets JJ, both realizing that they don't know where Chad is. JJ runs off to the police station and is about to put a bolo out when Chanel and Felicity drop in to announce Cat's missing too. The pieces all fall into place. They must be together. Marlena wanders into her living room, absorbed in her files, and completely misses someone walking around in there. Luckily, it's just Sami, and they hurry into each other's arms in a rush of emotion. The tears are flowing freely as Sami apologizes for not making it in time to say goodbye. "You're here now," Marlena tells her. Sami's full of regrets, from not visiting enough to not thanking John to not calling enough and being mean to her stepdad. "But he treated me like a daughter." "She was," Marlena tells her. Sami cries through it all, heartbroken that it's too late now to say all she wants to. Eventually, they catch their breath, and Marlena assures her daughter John knew how she felt. They have a heart-to-heart as Marlena does all she can to reassure Sami that John loved her and was proud of her. It's heartbreaking, but as Marlena says, they both needed to cry. Just as Sami's promising she'll always be there for her mother, Johnny knocks on the door and rushes into her arms. Marlena still has tears on her face as she heads off to work to give them space. Johnny makes clear that he doesn't expect her to be in his trial. What with EJ defending him, and Sami's tendency to flip out at her ex. It doesn't take long to get to talking about John, and they both start crying again as Sami says how proud he was that Johnny was his namesake and got so many years with him. By the time they hug, the tears are freely flowing. But they calm down soon enough, and Johnny has to run out to get ready for court after the shortest visit ever. Alone, Sami talks to John's photo about how much he loved his family and the Bradys, who, she says, are his family. She breaks down again, apologizing, then thanks him for helping make her who she is. They flash back to John supporting Sami in marrying Lucas, and she pulls his photo against her, tears flowing. Marlena and Julie run into each other at the hospital, and Julie fills her friend in on the Chad drama. Then she spots the out-of-order sign on the elevator and figures it out. Cat wakes up with a start in the elevator, having some sort of nightmare, but she doesn't want to talk about it to Chad. Probably because it's super secret spy stuff. Wait, no, she says it's a recurring post-accident dream. Cat realizes they've been there all night, which is when she decides to take action and climb out of the elevator. Sadly, we don't get to see what happened, just the disastrous aftermath. Unsurprisingly, it didn't work. But it did get them closer, and just like that, Julie starts knocking above them and calling down. Chad calls up, and they can all hear each other just fine, which begs the question of how no one heard them before. Meanwhile, just as JJ gets the paperwork together at the police station, Julie calls to tell him about the elevator trap. Fastest missing persons search ever. Chanel thanks JJ for doing nothing, then takes Felicity to the hospital. As Julie starts griping, Marlena points out that she seems more worried now than before, which is wholly because of Cat. By the time Julie gets to a conspiracy of Cat breaking the elevator, Marlena suggests she dial it back a little. Julie makes it clear that Chad and Abigail's love is eternal, just like her and Doug, Marlena and John, and he's still Abigail's husband. Marlena eases up and tells Julie that they'll all figure out a way forward and find comfort in memories. "What is your point, Marlena?" Turns out, it's that Chad should be allowed to find love again, and she's sure Julie wants that too. "Of course I do!" But with someone besides the despicable Cat Green, Chanel and Felicity show up to hear that. Also, everyone finds it strange that Cat was at the hospital when she wasn't scheduled to work. Is it, though? Down in the elevator, Cat shoves herself against the wall so Julie doesn't flip out if she's too close to Chad. "Okay, easy there," he says. Julie's not crazy, the situation is, but also not too bad doing it together. The elevator lurches up and they fall into each other's arms. Back at Marlena's, Sami talks more to John, leading into another flashback of him visiting Sami in prison as she worries about Roman getting hurt. Coincidentally, she also worries about Stefano, while John assures her he's out of their lives now. "I don't believe that," she says back. "I don't think he'll ever be out of your lives." Flashback foreshadowing? In the present, Sami promises John that she and everyone will take care of Mom now. Chanel meets back up with Johnny in the square and fills him in on the elevator drama. Johnny, in turn, says his visit with Mom was great. And finally, everyone's fretting by the elevator only for the doors to open with Chad and Cat clinging to each other. Julie rolls her eyes, Felicity smiles, and Marlena just stands there. Here are your days of our lives. Photo spoilers for Tuesday, August 5th, 2025. Poor Marlena is worried about both her body and her soul this week, especially after Susan's warnings. She has another appointment with Sarah to figure out what could really be going on, but appears to be unnerved again after another encounter with Susan in Horton Town Square. Susan seems alarmed when she spots Marlena and has more ominous things to tell her good friend, but she has more warnings to dole out. Not only does Susan worry about what could be going on with Marlena, but she also fears what is in the Dimera mansion, mainly the spirit of Stefano Dimera. EJ is amused by his mother's rantings, but Johnny is a little worried about what she has to say. Cat and Chad also have an eventful day when Cat returns to Rafe's office for more ISA training. Rafe takes some time to teach Cat some serious defense moves, but she also makes some moves with Chad in the same office. Chad finds her with Rafe for the second time in 24 hours and finds themselves in yet another compromising position. Susan runs into Marlena in the square and once again seems to feel something is wrong with Dr. Evans's soul. Johnny is worried about his trial, and his grandmother doesn't have good vibe news for him. Maybe Johnny and EJ should take what Susan has to say seriously. She is often right about her strange feelings. It's time for another day in court for EJ and Johnny, with the victim defending his own son. It's only a matter of time before something real happens between Cat and Chad. Rafe has to turn Cat into a true ISA field agent rather than just an analyst. DOOL spoiler alert! Here's your sneak peek at what's happening in Salem from Monday, August 4th to Friday, August 8th, 2025. Stream Peacock every weekday to see how everything plays out on Days of Our Lives. JJ worries with Julie. Chanel helps Felicity. Chad and Cat find themselves in a close moment. Marlena shares an emotional reunion with Sami. Chad catches Julie off guard. Sarah gives Marlena upsetting news. Cat starts training with Rafe. Gabby bonds with Xander. Susan gets under Johnny's skin. Abe reassures Paulina. Gabby complains to Rafe and Leo. EJ and Johnny discuss strategy. Tate asks Sophia for information. Steve confronts Alex. Gabby opens up to Xander. Anna surprises Tony with news about Stefano. Johnny expresses concern to Chanel. Belle and EJ meet secretly. Belle lashes out at EJ. Days of Our Lives at favorite. Allison Sweeney will be back on our Salem screens on Monday, August 4th, as Sami returns home for a semi-surprise visit. Both EJ and Marlena were stunned at the end of the August 1st Days of Our Lives episode when they separately learned that Sami would be in Salem the very next day. EJ got the news from an off-screen Sydney when she returned his phone call. He didn't look happy about the idea of seeing his ex-wife. On the opposite end of the spectrum, Marlena was thrilled when Sami called with the news. Rachel was equally thrilled that she would see her Aunt Samantha as soon as Marlena filled her in on the phone call that interrupted their little chat. Is Sami on her way home to support Johnny during his trial? Sami can never not cause drama whenever she sweeps into town. We last saw the character in April when she made a pit stop in Salem after EJ was shot. She was there for Johnny more than she was for her comatose ex. During her time in Salem, she explained to Johnny the circumstances around his conception and birth, while also revealing she had been in therapy. Of course, Sami had to do something unexpected when she was in town. Or was it expected? She reconnected with Rafe Hernandez, and the pair ended up in bed after he believed that Jada had slept with Sean. This happened during another Sami visit in 2018, ruining Rafe's romance with Hope. Sweeney began playing a teenage Sami when she was a teenager herself back in 1993. She remained with the soap until 2014, when she left to pursue other interests. However, she has made frequent brief appearances in Salem over the last decade, whenever Sami returns home to stir up a little trouble. "I never wanted to close the door entirely on my time at Days," she told TV Insider in April. "But I just imagined being in a church with 15 other characters at a wedding. I didn't really imagine how fun it would be and how creative they could get building whole moments for me in these short little returns." In Days of Our Lives skills. Spoilers are in for Tuesday, August 5th, 2025. In tomorrow's episode, fans can expect Chad DiMera to stun Julie Williams. Cat Green trains with Rafe Hernandez. Plus, Gabby Hernandez bonds with Xander Kyriakis. Keep reading, and let's talk about what is coming up in the Peacock soap opera. Let's start off with Chad, who just got rescued from a stuck elevator along with Cat. Just as Cat predicted, Julie does blame her for the incident. Thankfully, Marlena Evans put Julie in her place. However, that doesn't mean Julie will change her tone about Cat, especially when it comes to Chad. Julie likely blames Cat or makes some sort of snarky comment. Chad has been very nice and patient with the matriarch so far. However, Julie needs to just mind her own business, and I hope Chad tells her that. Speaking of Cat, she will get rescued just in time to begin her training with Rafe. However, it is suggested that the blonde could get hurt during that training. We know that later in the week, Chad tends to Cat. Days of Our Lives spoilers for Tuesday, August 5th reveal that Sarah Horton Kyriakis has some unsettling news for Marlena Evans. Could more blood tests have been done? Maybe it has something to do with that. In any case, the news will leave the psychiatrist feeling wary. Of course, this could have something to do with Sarah bonding with Rachel Black. That attachment led Sarah to kidnap Rachel at one time, so Marlena might worry it could happen again. Marlena has been spending a lot of time with Rachel, so she might be at the center of another story. Maybe Doc fears that what happened to Ava Vitali could happen to Sarah if she moves on with Brady Black. Fans will also see Gabby make some moves on Xander. The two do share a kiss, but then later, Gabby makes moves on Philip Kyriakis. The brunette might think this game is worth it to become DiMera's CEO again. However, Gabby tends to get burned in the end, so she could regret this later on. It is also stated that Susan Banks will get under Johnny DiMera's skin. Which storyline are you looking forward to seeing the most during on Tuesday, August 5th, 2025? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Keep watching the soap on Peacock to find out what happens next. Days of Our Lives spoilers reveal that at least 5 August curveballs are on the way. These storylines will bring major drama to Salem, so here's what DOOL fans can look forward to. As part of Gabby Hernandez's efforts to manipulate the Kyriakis brothers, she'll use her seduction skills on both Xander Kyriakis and Philip Kyriakis. However, things will get particularly hot and heavy once Gabby throws herself at Philip. Some passion will erupt and lead to Philip awakening in bed with Gabby, so he'll wonder what this means. Will Gabby stick to her agenda or find herself struggling with genuine feelings for Philip? Meanwhile, Sophia Choi will get jealous as Tate Black and Holly Jonas continue to get their relationship back on track. Holly and Tate will reconnect in the bedroom, so Sophia may somehow get news on that and fume. Although Sophia was hoping to give the baby up and potentially pursue a romantic path forward with Tate, her plan won't work out like she expected. Days spoilers say that's why Sophia will decide to sabotage Holly and Tate's growing bond. Over with Rachel Black, she'll give her testimony in court and worry about the outcome for Johnny DiMera. Rachel will flip out over potentially sending Johnny to prison after she's questioned on the witness stand. Although Rachel will have a meltdown as she frets, the truth could be much worse than she currently imagines. If Rachel shot EJ DiMera and shoved down that memory, she could unlock it sooner or later with Marlena Evans' help. Other Days spoilers say EJ will recruit Gwen von Leuschner for a special project. It looks like Gwen will help EJ with a sabotage plot as he works to protect his own shady agenda. That could affect Steve Johnson's Titan DiMera investigation, and maybe even Rafe Hernandez's FBI investigation with Cat Green, so stay tuned for updates on EJ's orders for Gwen. As for Tony DiMera, he may be keeping some sinister secrets. There have been some hints about a possible backup chip containing Stefano DiMera's essence, so maybe Tony has one and intends to put it to good use. Of course, this may not even truly be Tony if Andre DiMera has risen from the grave to take his place. Regardless, Tony will hide things from Anna DiMera ahead of some big revelations on Days. Days of Our Lives spoilers say some surprises are still to come in Salem this August and beyond. Days of Our Lives spoilers preview video for the week of August 48 reveals that E.J. DiMera will demand a mistrial while Sarah Horton Kyriakis kisses Brady Black. Sami Brady will also make a comeback and delight Marlena Evans in the process. DOOL's weekly promo begins with E.J. ranting about Belle Black's major conflict of interest and calling for an immediate mistrial. Days spoilers say Belle will find E.J.'s complaint absurd since he previously pressured her to serve as prosecutor on this case. Besides, if Belle's got a conflict of interest as Johnny's aunt and E.J.'s love interest, then things are just as messy on E.J.'s end since he's Johnny's father and is dating Belle. Since we know the trial will move forward, Paulina will eventually take the stand and admit Johnny said his father got what he deserved. E.J. will do his best to spin that and will keep pointing the finger at other suspects. Other Days spoilers say Anna DiMera will give Tony DiMera updates on Susan Banks, claiming that Stefano DiMera is alive. Tony will chuckle like that's impossible news, but he may know more than it seems. It looks like Tony, or perhaps Andre DiMera, if there's a swap reveal coming, will be involved in resurrecting Stefano in some form. After Sarah and Brady spot Gabby Hernandez stealing a smooch from Xander Kyriakis at the bistro, it'll bring out Sarah's jealous side. "You can spend time going whatever you want. So can I," Sarah declares in Days' weekly preview video before planting a kiss on Brady. That's going to rile Xander up and leave him ready for a showdown with Brady right there in the restaurant. Finally, Days of Our Lives spoilers say Sami's return will bring an emotional reunion with Marlena, so stay tuned for their warm embrace and a catch-up session since Sami's missed a lot in Salem. Sami's main goal during this visit will be to check on Marlena following John Black's grim fate, so that's what she'll do. Stefano, 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 that seems to be all anyone is talking about lately on Days of Our Lives. Susan's convinced his presence is around, though she seems to waffle on if that means he's alive or his spirit is there. Rafe admitted to Cat that while unlikely, if anyone would cheat death for the 1000th time, it would be Stefano. EJ's clearly rattled at the idea that his dad's not dead, and even Marlena expressed hesitation to declare her nemesis gone for good. Then there's Tony, who seems intent on resurrecting him for real in the summer preview. But is that really Stefano, or is something else going on? One thing we know is that Joseph Mascolo won't be coming back in any shape, other than flashbacks, as we sadly lost him back in 2016. Stefano did pop up a couple times after that anyway, though. But not in an in-the-flesh, the man is back type of way. And honestly, we here at Soaps are even having a hard time remembering how the Stefano saga ended. We know he survived Hope's shooting, and Kristen and Rolf were working to bring him back for a time. That led into the Stefano saga, with Dr. Rolf implanting the AI chip/essence into Steve. But what happened to the real man himself? That's a bit fuzzier, and far more ambiguous. As Rita and EJ talked about on Friday's episode, Stefano survived, then died years later in hiding. None of his family got to say real farewells, and apparently his body has been MIA ever since. Stefano's end has been something of a loose end, likely intentionally, in case the show ever decided to bring him back in some novel, new way. And that seems to be what's happening right now. And fans, well, a lot of them aren't having it. Over on Soaps' Facebook page, the overwhelming reaction to Susan's declaration was, "Lord, let him stay dead. Let the man rest in peace for God's sake," Rosa Bavetta declared. "There is only one Stefano DiMera and the actor has passed away," Karen Casso said, which is a sentiment many people echoed, though not everyone. "I think it's just what is needed to revive this sleepy soap," shared Robin Kay. "No one will ever replace Mascalolo, but he's been gone for many years, and a recast would now be great." Like it or not, It seems inevitable that Stefano is coming back in some form, but that doesn't have to be a bad thing for anyone, because ultimately, this could be a chance to lay him to rest once for all. No more loose ends, no more ambiguity. We can find out what really happened to him and bury him in the DiMera family crypt. And it can be the writer's way of saying, hey, we know there's always been a chance for him to come back, but this is it. We tied it all up. That's over now. Time to move on. Days of Our Lives spoilers are in for the week of August 4th, 2025. Fans can expect Anna DiMera to drop a shocker about Stefano DiMera. Steve Johnson demands answers from Alex Kyriakis. Plus, Sarah Horton Kyriakis stuns Brady Black. Keep reading, and let's talk about what is coming up in the Peacock soap opera. Let's begin with Stefano, who died a few years ago. It seems that there is a new Stefano story, but it's not clear if this is a recast or if they will do the story another way. In any case, Anna shares news with Tony DiMera. This news is that Stefano could still be alive. That is the same thing that E.J. DiMera wondered to Rita Leslie. Over with Alex, he will get confronted about his past. Steve has learned that Alex was in trouble with the law years ago. It reminds him of the time Stephanie Johnson was in an abusive relationship. So, Steve will want answers and the whole truth from Alex. Days of Our Lives. Spoilers for the week of August 4th reveal that Chad DiMera and Cat Green are in a tough situation. Both stuck in the hospital elevator, they have nothing but time. They will share a close moment while stuck in there. However, later in this week, Cat trains with Rafe Hernandez. Then, when Friday rolls around, Chad tends to Cat. So I wonder if she gets injured while training with Rafe. Meanwhile, Susan Banks confronts Johnny DiMera. JJ Devereaux and Julie Williams worry together. Later, Chad blindsides Julie. Plus, Tate Black wants information about the baby's adoptive parents from Sophia Choi. Marlena Evans has a joyous reunion with Sami Brady. Later, Sarah shares some bad news with Marlena. Gabby tries to pry intel from Xander Kyriakis. Belle Black secretly meets with EJ. Plus, Sarah drops a bombshell on Brady Black. Could Sarah tell Brady the truth about Tate and Sophia's baby? Fans didn't see the whole explanation from Sophia, so there is a chance that she lied once again. Which storyline are you looking forward to seeing the most during the week of August 4th, 2025?